This is the Skool Bible, and the promise of this video is pretty simple. By the time you're done watching 80% of this video, you will know exactly how you can reduce your churn by up to 50%. And by the time you're done watching the rest 20%, you will know how you can actually make money from churn. Now, I know you're sitting there and you're telling me or thinking that churn is a negative thing and you're supposed to lose money from churn and not make money from it. But stick around till the end so I can prove you wrong on that. I also am not the biggest fan of the beard, so I might shave it midway through the video. But before we go on to the meat of the video, you need to trust me as a teacher. Well, here are some things that should add credibility when you listen to them. Well, for starters, I've been on Skool for 2+ years. I've spent 3 weeks working on this video only, let alone the time it took me to learn all that stuff. The biggest content creators on the planet have partnered up with me. I'm talking Iman Ghazi, Hamza, and those are just a few from the list. I've worked with SaaS companies, I've coached over 900 people, and right now I'm kind of behaving like a school nerd, so I'm really into the stuff that is happening with the platform. So if that's enough credibility for you, let's dive into the video. But before we get into the tactics and the strategies you can use to reduce and make money from your churn, let's understand churn in the first place. We have gone over the introduction and now it's time to learn the churn basics. If you think you know everything about churn and you just want to dive directly into the tactics, you can skip to this timestamp. But if you are someone that likes learning new stuff, because there's a lot of cool stuff that I'm pretty sure no one has ever talked about in the Skool niche ever. We'll talk about understanding churn, everything you need to know about churn basically, then one-time versus recurring value, loss aversion, and stages of member churn. And the reason I've put this in here is because you really need to understand why we're using the tactics we are using. Because if you don't understand why, it's kind of irrelevant to you. When I tell you the tactics, you won't know the importance of any of them. So without further ado, let's get started with understanding churn. We'll cover why you should look at churn, then what specific metrics you should track, then when you should bother optimizing churn, because not always should you be looking at churn, and how to calculate churn, because if you're not calculating, you don't know your numbers. So why should you look at churn? In my opinion, churn is the death of a recurring business, be it SaaS, be it like any agency model where you're charging per month, or be it a Skool community, right, where you're charging per month. It's the death of a recurring business, and anything above 5% I feel is too much. And I know the typical Skool numbers. If you have 5% churn, like that's pretty good. Even if you have like 10% churn, that's pretty good. But think about this for a second. Let me put this into perspective for you. If you have 9% churn, you essentially have to replace your entire customer base every single year. Every single year to even make money. If you don't replace your entire customer base every single year, you'll be making less money than you did previous year, which seems like an uphill battle to me. Also, imagine this. It's 5 times or like 10 times or 20 times. The numbers are very up in the air on the stat, but it's 5 times more work to get a new customer than to keep an existing one. You spend all that time nurturing them, and when they finally buy, you end up losing them because you didn't watch this video 10 times and implement everything. You don't want to be that guy. If you have a recurring model, you should be pretty scared of churn, because it's literally going to eat your business up. All the work you've put in into nurturing the leads, getting them to finally click the buy button, it's going to go to waste. So that's why you should look at churn. Now let's move on to what specific metrics you should be tracking, because calculating churn is something that a beginner would do, but we're not beginners. So there are basically 2 metrics that you can track: revenue churn and member churn. Let me explain both, and I'll explain also why revenue churn is more important. Imagine you have 10 customers and your revenue is $1,090, where 9 people pay you $10 each and 1 customer pays you $1,000. If like 1 person leaves, the member churn would be 10%, right? So you have 10 people, 1 leaves, you have 9. The member churn is like 10%, pretty easy math. The people that are left in the group are 90%. But what if the customer that was paying you $1,000 leaves? Now your monthly revenue is $90 and your revenue churn is 91.7%. So that really goes to show that not every single member that you have in your community is equal. You need to be looking at revenue, but not the amount of members. It's more about how much value you're providing to them. And obviously, if they're paying you $1,000, you're providing much more value than you are to someone that's paying $10. That's why you should be looking at revenue churn more than you are looking at like customer churn. It's not that important. There's also a way you can achieve negative churn, and by negative churn I mean literally making money from churn. I know I talked about it in the introduction of the video. So here's exactly how you get negative churn. Expansion revenue equals negative churn. But now I need to explain what expansion revenue is. So imagine you have like 10 members in your community and every single one of them is paying you $10. So 10, 10, 10, 10. And this one, also assume that this is 10. I know it's written like $1,000, but assume it's 10. So now what happens is that maybe you make an upsell to them and now they're worth more to you. So they're paying you $1,000. Now that's expansion revenue because you technically didn't spend any money acquiring that customer and you're making more money from them. That's basically expansion revenue. And net negative churn, basically how you can make money from churn, is churn lesser than expansion revenue. So imagine you have 10 members and 9 out of 10 are paying you $10, but one person you made an upsell and now he's paying you $1,000. Your expansion revenue on your entire community would be $990 because that's the difference you made. You upsold them on a bigger plan that's providing much more value to them. So that's $990 in expansion revenue. And let's just say any one of the people that is paying you like $10 a month leaves, right? Not a big deal. You have achieved net negative churn because your churn is $10 now because one person that was paying you $10 has left. And your expansion revenue is $990. You don't need to care about churn as much as other people do, as long as you have expansion revenue. And it's basically the cheat code of any monthly recurring business, of SaaS, Skool, any agency, anything, right? Net negative churn is when you can add 0 members per month, but your business will still grow. So imagine, again, explaining this, imagine you sold one person on the upsell. So now they're paying you $990, but the next month you upsold another person. So that's another $990 that you're getting. So if you can keep doing that per month, your business will grow and you don't even need to add members. And this is basically a cheat code. I've had 0 people talk about this on Skool. But now let's talk about when you should bother optimizing churn, because this is really important. You basically always should be optimizing for it, but don't focus on it until you have at least like 35 members. There's this concept in statistics called statistical significance. Any one of you guys that has gone to college, unlike me, and is educated enough should know this. Basically, as long as we don't have 35 to 50 members paying us for our product every single month, we cannot assume or like we cannot have 100% conviction that we have product market fit. We cannot attribute the members to a specific cause, if that makes sense. We cannot like conclude anything. If 10 members are there and they kind of like your product and they're not leaving, but if you like do the same experiment with 100 people, a lot more might start leaving if you don't have product market fit. And product market fit is basically when there's a demand of your product in the market and what you've built is actually something what people want. That's the most basic way I can explain product market fit. If your churn is high before you get 35 members in your group, there's a high chance that you just haven't built what people want yet. So don't be optimizing for churn at all until you like get your first 35 to 50 members. You don't need to optimize for it. But if you have a lot of people leaving at the start, that's just a sign that it's a product problem, not like a churn problem. You shouldn't be looking at churn at all. You should be looking at improving your product or maybe making a pivot completely. Once you have product market fit, you should basically be looking at churn every single day. It should be on a tracker that you can just open and have a look at it, and it will tell you what percent of churn you have on any given day. Now let's talk about how to calculate churn. There are basic formulas that can do this. Basically, it's canceled MRR percentage. Beginning of the month MRR equals gross revenue churn, and I've explained what gross revenue churn is here. So if you haven't watched that, what are you doing? And canceled members percentage, beginning of the month members equals gross member churn, and we basically have to calculate both. Reminder that gross revenue churn is much more important. You can use this Google sheet that I've put here to calculate it. I will show you exactly that right now. So this Google sheet is the most basic way to calculate your revenue churn and also your member churn. Let's say you started your Skool business on 1st of February. Your MRR was, let's say, $10,000. The canceled MRR was like, let's say, $1,000. So the MRR churn is basically 10%. The formulas are in there. And let's say beginning members, you have like 100, and at the end 31 people that canceled, so basically 31%, or like if we make it 200, 15.5%. It's the most basic sheet that you should be using, and you should know your churn numbers. If you're going hard at this, you should also segment your churn by pricing tier, customer type, cohort, or campaigns, because this is when you like get crazy insights. Different people that are paying you different amounts of money are going to have different churn percentages. Like if someone is paying you $67 and someone is paying you like $6,700, customer type is basically if they are male, female, they're in college. You can make different segments, and you can have like basically different ICPs and segment them and calculate your churn that way too. You can segment your churn by cohort. Maybe you ran a cohort in Jan, maybe you ran a cohort in like July or something like that. And you can also segment your churn by campaigns and different ads, different YouTube CTAs. You can take all those members, track back where they came from, and then you can segment what the churn percentage is for everyone, because a lot of the work that you do in the marketing is also something that reduces churn, and we'll talk about that literally right after this. This is our first hot tip in this video. Don't give them a bribe, a crazy offer or incentive just to get them to join, because a lot of times you won't be able to create the same level of high for them again, and they will churn. This happens a lot. Oh, my product is $1,000 for today only, and for you only it's $100. They will churn the next month. I can bet you $1,000 on that. You can use these numbers to identify your best customers and their personas in excruciating detail, which is something we will be talking about in this video when we get to the tactics part. Now let's talk about one-time versus recurring value. One-time value is education, helping them to build a skill, but that isn't enough if you're selling something that people need to pay for every single month. Online education is tough to be in. On average, only 20% of the students even go through the course in the first place on Udemy. They need someone to hold their hand. Let's just understand this chart first before we talk about one-time and recurring value. The x-axis is the time, and the y-axis is the value. So basically, let's just say a member joins here. So that's their first day in your community, and you provide them with a lot of education, which will help them build a skill. But now after they consume your course and they build the skill, eventually they won't need to pay you again. Like once someone has gone through your course and they've built the skill and they've taken the action, they don't need to pay you again. That's just basic common sense. So what you need to do is you need to have your value line basically something like this, where it's really, really high at the start, and then it obviously drops like it always does. And then you need to maintain a steady line, or they will churn basically. And always remember that your price should be lesser than the value you're providing. Imagine you're priced here. People will churn. But if you're priced somewhere around here and you're providing more value, people won't churn because your product is amazing and they're getting more for the money than they're paying, right? The way you keep this line steady is adding weekly calls, or maybe monthly calls, or bi-weekly calls. Then if you keep creating new courses, you can keep adding new skills. Make this graph go like this. And then you should have accountability. So again, going back to the point, only 20% of the people on Udemy even complete the courses. They don't even bother to go through the entire thing that they paid for with their hard-earned money. So people absolutely need someone to hold their hands. And that is where you can have customer success managers, or different tactics that we're not going to talk about here, but you need to keep them accountable And that's something that is recurring value. You have to always keep them accountable, make them do the work, basically push them. Then you have the community where like you probably should have members come in every single month, and that's recurring value. They can keep making new friends, they keep making new connections. And when they have the community, you don't have to be the person that is providing all the value. Now they have a lot of other members that can like answer questions and you don't have to do it. So that's basically what community means, and you can literally provide monetary value. We're getting into the tactics here a bit, but maybe you could offer them like a discount code on a software that they have to use. That's basically recurring value. They'll pay less for it every single month. So that's monetary value. And then you can have ascension. Once you solve one of their problems, now you offer them something like bigger that also costs them more but solves a bigger problem that's solving this problem created. So that's also recurring value. Now you can keep doing that basically forever. Now let's talk about loss aversion. Loss aversion is a theory that people prefer to avoid loss over gaining the same amount. Here are some examples of loss aversion. Financial decisions. People may be less likely to invest in a stock if it has a chance of losing money, even if it has high potential for reward. And you might see this in yourself. They may also focus on the risk of an investment instead of the potential gain, or sell a stock that has increased in value slightly to realize a gain instead of holding it for a larger profit. In everyday life, people may go to an event they bought tickets for, even if they don't want to go, or may assign more value to goods that they own to identical goods that they don't own. Emotions. People may be more upset about losing $100 than they would be about gaining $100, or starting with zero and gaining $100 even. So we're going to be using loss aversion, and this is some black hat tactics to basically reduce churn. Now let's talk about the stages of member churn, and to explain this I need to take you to my whiteboard. So the 6 stages of member churn are as follows. The first one is that a person joins your community, then they love it, then they like it, they go from loving it to liking it, then they kind of like the community. The 5th one is where they start hating it, or basically they stop receiving any value whatsoever. And the 6th one is that they cancel. It goes from up to down. I'm pretty sure whenever they join it, they will be loving it because there's that excitement, and as time goes on, they kind of move down the barrel. So the tactics that we are going to cover in this video keeps them from 1, 2, 3, and 4. Either it keeps them there or it brings them back from these 2. So they cancel, you can have an exit interview with them to make them kind of like it, or actually like it, or love your community again. If they hate your community, you have to bring them back up. Or ideally, you would just keep them here. If they ever were to fall down, you have to bring them up, you have to pull them up. Well, you're 20 minutes into the video and I've already shaved my beard. So in the comment section, please let me know if I look better with or without the beard. But without further ado, let's get started. So we will be covering the smallest bit of tactics that you need to basically implement in your business to reduce your churn. And we have like a lot of points that we need to go over. So I think it's like 40, but I keep adding stuff. So it might be more than that, maybe it's 38, but it's definitely more than 35. Basically, the thing you need to focus on to reduce your churn, the North Star, needs to be getting results and recurring value. Think about it. If you're promising someone that, hey, I will make you $1,000 and this community is $100 per month, if you basically get them the result, one, they trust you, you've kept your word, so anything you ask for in the future, they will believe you 1,000 times more, but you already made them $1,000, so they kind of have already made the money that they need to pay for your subscription, and you've kept your promise. You've given them more value than they have paid you for. So getting results is number one. All these tactics will kind of help you get results, but just if there's one thing you could think about to reduce churn, the biggest thing is getting them results, and all these tactics are only going to add up to it. So all tactics should include or check at least one of these boxes, and there are some exceptions, but getting client results, if you're delivering them results, there's no reason to leave, And that's just what I explained right now. You need to help them connect with members. People value connection a lot. Think about it. Like, people, there are statistics around people being the most amount of lonely that they've ever been because of social media, their phones, and everything. So people value connecting with members a lot. And loss aversion, like we've talked about, it's a big thing. So you can make it really, really, really painful to leave in the first place. And there will be some black hat tactics that we discover. But these are the three things that most of these things will check. And that's why the reduce churn. Every single tactic you implement is going to take you closer to reducing your churn and keeping every single member in your community. And by the time you're done taking action on all of these tactics, you can rest assured that your churn is going to be the lowest possible. So let's talk about the pre-sale tactics. One is having realistic marketing campaigns. Don't give them a bribe, a crazy offer, or incentives just to get them to join, because a lot of times you won't be able to create the same level of high for them again, and they will churn. And let me give you an extreme example. You make the first month free for them, and that's why they join, because it's a crazy offer, right? First month free, I get everything. But the next month, they might not be willing to pay for that stuff again. So there's a really high chance they churn. So the action item on this one would be to review all marketing and cut out obnoxious campaigns or claims or offers. And you have to do it for organic and paid. And once you're done with this, the next thing is building an ICP, which means basically an ideal customer profile. And these people that you're getting in your community should have shared goals, principles, beliefs, values, outlook, or mindset or identity. High alignment to these commonalities create a strong, immovable, unshakable community. Do these things right, and you'll have a mastermind that markets itself. As such, you'll never have a churn issue, as the momentum for creating this kind of organic growth ensures that you'll always stay net positive. Think about it. You don't really want every single person on the planet inside your community unless you're selling something really generalized like a toothpaste, but I'm pretty sure you're not doing that. So think about your ideal customer profile and only bring those types of people in, because if they're able to connect, if they have similar goals, they're reaching for the same things, they have the same values, they do it the same way, they're going to form connections that's going to be formidable. And basically they would never want to leave a group like that. So it's really important that you build an ICP. So the action items for this would be to create an ICP, and which is an ideal customer profile. Write down all their demographics, if they go to school or not, their age, their gender, their income level, how they think, how they spend their day, anything you can think about your ideal customer. You have to design it out and you have to put it in a sheet of paper and always keep iterating on it basically. And once you're done with the ideal customer profile, there are ways to do it. You'll find a lot of templates online, but once you're done with that, audit all marketing campaigns to speak to this specific person. You have to really dial your marketing campaigns down and only target this specific person. And if you're getting everyone, you'll not build the best communities, to say the least. So now we're done with the pre-sale tactics. Let's move on to the first 7 days, which is time to first value. TDFV is basically a concept taken from SaaS businesses, and again, it means time to first value. Breaking Bad is a Netflix show that found out that if someone had watched the first 3 episodes, they had an 87% likelihood of finishing the entire 5 seasons. Different shows have different activation points where the viewers are hooked forever. The activation point is the key moment that transforms the customer relationship into a long-term commitment to you. Your goal is to bring that point as fast as possible. This is when you need to be really, really on it. The more times you can break down an outcome into tiny chunks, the more reinforced the customer will be to staying with you. For Breaking Bad, the activation point would be the first 3 episodes, because once someone watches that, they have an 87% likelihood of basically watching the entire 5 seasons. So all of their energy in Breaking Bad should be going into making the first 3 episodes as engaging and as beautiful as possible, so everyone watches it. They should aim all of their efforts into getting 100% retention, because if they do, 87% of the people are going to watch the entire 5 seasons. So all of their energy should be focused there. Here are the 4 tactics you need to implement to get the time to first value as soon as possible. Ideally, you'd get them a win within the first 7 days of them joining. And here's what will get them that first win. This is really important stuff, like extremely important. So take notes and take action right after this video, because if you don't take action, it didn't really mean anything, did it? So adding a start here guide, it's really important, and it's basically a consumption guide, because imagine someone that has never used Skool before. They don't even know how to interact with your course, and when they get inside your community, they've paid you, they don't even know what to do, and they're kind of lost. Oh, I have the community tab. Oh, I have the classroom tab. Oh, in the classroom tab there are 1,000 courses. I don't know what to do first. So that's basically what it avoids, because they also have the DMs. They have so many things they can do. You need to give them a fixed path of what they need to follow. So that's what it does. And you don't want to overwhelm any of your members. They should have a really smooth experience whenever they come inside your community. And this is one example. In this photo, you can see the onboarding is really, really, really good. So you can see step 1, read this. Step 2, introduce yourself. Step 3, support. Step 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And these are the things they're supposed to do once they join. Now they have a good game plan of what they need to do to get the results that they want and to really make the most out of their money, right? So this is really important. Make sure you do this. So the action items would be add a comprehensive start here guide. I would recommend you spend 1 or 2 days just making it and refining it, and you can obviously iterate it over time, but add a comprehensive start here guide and basically talk about it on onboarding calls. So whenever you're onboarding someone, tell them that, hey, we've already created this SOP, a standard operating procedure for everyone that joins our community, because we really don't want you to feel lost inside here, and we want you to have the best experience. So you can frame it like that and talk about it on onboarding calls. Once you're done with this, you can go on to taking onboarding calls, and onboarding calls are essential. And you ask, why are they essential? You teach your members how to use the community, set the expectations, and help your members have a personalized experience. Think about it. Whenever you join like a SaaS, you pay for a SaaS, the first thing that they ask you is the things you're interested in. For example, recently I created a Reddit account, and the first thing that it asked me is the things you're interested in. So I had to go and click business and finance, and that way they were personalizing the experience to me. And that's a big thing, because now I will be interacting with the platform more, just because it caters to my interest. And here are the things you need to do on an onboarding call. I think that's the biggest question you might have is, okay, sure, someone joins, I take an onboarding call, but what do I do inside of it? Here's what you can do. You can talk about their goals, and you can identify their current problems and point them in the right direction. And you can guide them on how to use the community best, which the Start Here guide will help a lot with. Then you can also set expectations. A big tactic you can use to set expectations is create a 30, 60, 90 plan with them. A lot of times you think you know someone's goals, but you don't really have deadlines on it. You don't have numbers on it. So the easiest way to be on the same page as your customer is to create a 30, 60, 90 plan. All you need to do is set KPIs with your customer on the onboarding call for the next 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. Let's say, for example, the first 30 days, I want to make $1,000. The next 30 days, I want to turn it into $10,000. And the next 90 days, I want to make $100,000. And that's just an example, right? So now you understand exactly where I need to go, basically, and wherever you have to take me to get me to stay inside your community. And let's just say the example that I mentioned right now is too unrealistic. I can't make $1,000 in the first 30 days, then I can't make it to 10K in the next 60, and then I can't make $200,000 in the next 90 days. So the thing you will do when someone sets unrealistic goals is that you can bring them basically to reality and tell them that, hey, these results that you're expecting, I love that you're, aiming high, but as a beginner, things take time, right? It's just the way it is. You have to put in a lot of reps before you get a lot of results. So you won't be able to get to maybe 10K in 60 days. The first goal you have, making $1,000 in 30 days, that's very realistic, but you won't be making 10K in 60 days. So now you've brought them into reality and you've told them that here are the results that we can get you. And almost 100% of the times they will be happy that you're giving them insights and you're helping them aim better. And also if they're aiming too low, like, oh, I want to make $100 in the first 30 days, then 200 in 60, and then 300 in 90 days. You can help them basically expand their dream and think bigger. And that's another thing you can do. So then you have to also like guide them on how they can get their first quick win within the first 7 days. And we'll talk about this right in the next point. One crazy thing you can do is going over the reasons people cancel and go over those ahead of time. And the reasons people cancel, you will get them from the exit surveys. And this is another tactic that we will talk about later. But for example, if you've had people tell you that they've canceled because XYZ, right? I canceled my membership because I wanted to make $100,000 in the first 30 days. But when I joined, I found out that that's not the case. So basically you can tell them on the onboarding call, while like you have to bring it up, or if it comes in conversation, that, hey, this is the program and it's for beginners and you're starting out. So a common thing that we've seen among the people that don't do as well in our programs is that they aim for like $1 million a month the first month they're joining, and their inputs are not really at that point, so they're never going to get it. But they still somehow have the expectation that they're going to be a millionaire in 60 days or 90 days. And that's a way you can tackle that ahead of time. So now that person is aware that, hey, I've just joined this program and it will take me time to actually do the things and get the results and understand and get the knowledge. So I'm not going to be that guy that just canceled because he wasn't able to make $100,000 a month in his first month. So that's a really clever thing you can do. And at the end of the exit interviews, I really recommend this, is that you give them a carrot at the end. A carrot is basically a reward, a cookie. Hey, because you're a good boy, you get this. Don't say this. Basically, the way you can frame it is that you can tell them, hey, I really appreciate you joining and taking the time out to do the onboarding call. And because you've been a pleasure to talk to, here's a course I can unlock for you. And then you unlock it on the call itself. Or basically you give them a cheat sheet or a free thing. And you don't have to tell them beforehand that you're going to give it to them, because it will be like a surprise to them and they'll be much more happier. You can unlock something for them, give them a free course, add a discount to a software that they use. There are a lot of things you can do. But in Hamza's community right now, they do group onboarding calls. And right now, if you're not at like 500 members or 400 members and you're just starting out, I would highly recommend you take the onboarding calls yourself, because it makes the things much more personal and you're getting to talk to the customer himself. So you get to learn a lot of things, because that is one of the most important and the higher ROI activities you can do as the founder of your company. Because knowing your customer is probably the most highest ROI thing you can do as a founder. The action items, again, if you don't take action, you're basically getting nowhere. So create a Calendly link for onboarding calls, create a welcome message for new members where you send them a link to your Calendly to book an onboarding call, then create a consumption guide, we've already talked about this, and create a sheet to keep track of all the information on onboarding calls. I have a really good template on this, so if you want, you can message me on my Instagram and I can just send it to you. Now let's talk about quick wins. Hormozi used to have a company where they helped write and publish their first ever book, and they came up with a 7-day challenge where they made their people who signed up write an entire book in the first 7 days. Another example is Ted Carr, who I've worked with, who helps the students get a beta client for their Skool communities in the first 7 days they join. He found out that the people who get that quick win are always the one who stays. So basically, if you focus all your efforts into getting them the first win, it could be in the first day, that's ideal. But if you can get them the first win within the first 4 to 7 days, like that increases the chances of them staying inside your community by so much more. It's insane. And here's your second hot tip for the video. You're like, I don't know, 30 minutes in and you've already gotten your second hot tip. Like, that's insane. Encourage members to share their internal and external wins. If I wanted to, I could make this another point, but inside your Skool community, you should have a tab called wins where people can post their wins. And whenever people are posting there, you should encourage them to share their internal and also external wins. For example, an external win would be they got their first 100K deal, but what did that make them feel? Were they ecstatic when they got it, or they felt burdened because now they have the pressure to fulfill? Make it known, like ask them to share their feelings, because it's really important. So the action items here would be create a list of quick wins you could have for your customers within 7 days ideally, but even if it's in 30 days, that's fine as well, but as quick as possible. And here's a guide you can pull from. So I'll open this quickly, and it's a really insane document for basically quick wins. If you open this, you'll go over all the quick wins for consultants, right? You can increase prices. That's a really quick win. Join webinars, mission posts, drive people to the webinar funnel, improving the offer, going on podcasts, sponsor a YouTube video, hit the pipeline on the no shows and the no sale, re-engaging on the fence leads, DM sales, get them access to coachfinancing.com, start a community, put 1 week of course in it, broadcast it everywhere, send more emails to the list. And there are 42 of them and even more that I've added. So this document is really, really valuable. And if you want that document, you can DM me on Instagram and I would be happy to share it with you. Then the next action item would be create a step-by-step template on how a customer can get their first quick win. Now that you've mapped out what their first quick win would be, now you need to also think about the how. So basically do a step-by-step plan on how they can get their first win. So basically you can advertise that within your community on the onboarding calls and so on. After that, this is also really important. It's really time intensive on you, so it's not really scalable if you're a one-person team. But basically you have to communicate really well in the first 7 days. Communication is always really important, but especially in the first few days. This is because you need to get them that quick win. I cannot emphasize on this point more. You need to get them their first win as soon as possible to maximize their LTV. And basically it's about being proactive. Whenever you hop on a call, your attitude must be like you already know where they are, as opposed to asking them where they are. And the whole point of this is to make them think, oh, these guys are really on it. Once you really articulate their problems to them, there's this interesting psychological phenomenon that happens where if you really describe their current situation properly, they think that you understand them. And more importantly, they also think that you are the person that can guide them to where they want to go. Tell them, most people at this point are at A or B, or where are you at? Like, present them with options of what your customers are going through at that specific moment, at their stage, and you just ask them, where are you at? The action items on this would be create a list of things you know members struggle with at the start, or whatever stage in the first 7 days. They might not know which course to go through, or they might not know how to interact with the members because they're new to Skool. Create a list of things, reach out to them ideally on a daily basis to check on the result for the first 7 days, and create a follow-up tracking sheet to help you track reach outs. And all of these are really important because if you're not tracking, you're going to miss a lot of reach outs, or it's going to be really, really messy. Now that we've covered the first 7 days and time to first value, let's cover calls and how you can add recurring value on calls. There are 3 things you can do to add value on the calls itself, and the first one is community calls. Imagine you have people that watch you all the time on YouTube and all they dream of is getting a chance to talk to you. Even if you don't have a YouTube channel and you're an expert at what you do, people have burning questions that they want to ask you. This is a photo of me when I was at a school and I was teaching them. People would happily show up and they had so many questions to ask me, it's insane. When I was taking the calls at a school myself, it would be 2 times per week and the students would be looking forward to the calls, raising their hands and waiting in line to ask me questions and give me updates to share their lives with me. We used to talk on a really personal level as well. It was not only tactics. It's like, what are you going through right now? They had problems with their family, they would share with me. So really what these people want is that they want access to you. Community calls are one of the best ways to provide recurring value, and people go crazy for this one. I mean, literally. Make sure you made them and add it to the calendar so they get a notification. So the action items on this one would be add calls to your classroom. You can do 1 time or bi-weekly, however you think it's best. I think 1 per week is really ideal because Your time is still scarce, but at the same time you're giving them a lot of value with you being there every single week. But if you're someone like more premium, I would say like once a month is also fine. Then you can have guest speakers on that are aligned with your community, which we will talk about in the very next point, which is the guest calls. Another easy way to add recurring value. Step one is asking your audience what problems they have, because you don't really want any guest inside your community. Ask your audience what problems they are having and find a person that has solved the problem and is ideally famous, ideally doesn't sell a directly competing solution. When I was on Hamza's team, I observed him do this best. He reinvests a lot of money back into Adorno School to bring the guests that charge thousands of dollars per hour. That's a massive value add to someone paying only $129 per month. A really clever thing he does is that he also mentions the amount of money he's paid the speaker that's coming on. Now, let's just say Hamza paid $10,000 for someone to make a course inside his community. He can tell that to people, and now people value the community a lot more because they're paying a small amount, like $129. So it's nothing to them. But now they see that they're getting something for $10,000. That's a lot of value add. So make sure you add guest calls as well to your calendar. The next is member events. Member events are a great way to add recurring value, and there's a sneaky way you can use them to get way more members. For example, I saw this event when I was inside the community happening by Kirby, and he's hosting a member event that will last for like 4 weeks, where he teaches people how to make $3,000 to $10,000 per month as a beginner, right? And he calls it the high ticket synthesizer protocol. And he's been getting insane response on it. Like, you can see all these wins, and these are just some of the wins that have been posted inside the community. The point is that people love events. You could do an online cohort like Ali Abdallah's part-time YouTuber Academy, Q&A with a special guest, in-person meetup, in-person mastermind. All you need to care about is that it's valuable to your audience inside your community. Your fourth hot tip: you can ask your community members to ask their friends to join it. So what you can do is you can host the member event on Zoom, and you can ask the members inside the community to basically ask their friends if they want to join. And a lot of their friends will end up joining because it's something that only paid people have access to, right? So what you can do on that call is, after you're done giving all the value, you can add a sneaky call to action at the end and really ask their friends that are not in the paid community yet to join the paid community. And after you've given enough value, a surprising amount of people will convert into your main group from that. So member events also serve as a lead gen method. So let's cover accountability now. The next 8 tips are a way of showing that you care about them, and it's just that. I know you can think of a friend that you haven't talked to in a while, but you love him to bits. Occasionally you do text him, or he texts you every single month to check up on each other, and it's just a wholesome thing you guys do, right? And that's exactly what we're going for here. Think of everything in terms of attention, affection, and approval. Attention: recognize their existence, and your members should feel like, oh shoot, the leader of the community knows that I'm here. Then affection: I care about you, and these are members that are paying you, so you should 100% care about them and their success. And then comes approval. You just have to basically give them a cookie. Awesome job, next things are going to be even better. So you give them a cookie, and then you get them hyped about the things that are still to be. It's about acknowledging their existence as the leader or one of the leaders of the community, and remembering everyone's names that is in your community. That's what we're aiming for here. So these are the tactics. Let's get right into it. The first tactic is insane: handwritten cards. Before this, I also used to work in content. So the people that I've worked with the longest amount of time for are the ones that I've written handwritten letters to. Coincidence? I think not. This will take you a lot of time if you have a lot of members, but you can do this for your first 50 members if you are serious about keeping and building a relationship with them. Think about it. The biggest premium brands do their best to do it on scale. Look at Razer. I bought their mic, this exact mic, and they sent me this cool thank you note that's not handwritten nor signed directly by the founder, but I still read it, and honestly made me feel way more connected to the brand after I read it. So now that I look to buy things, I'm always looking for like Razer stuff oh, a Razer webcam, oh, a Razer mouse, because honestly, they do make really good stuff. But this kind of made me feel connected. And even though, like, you might think that, oh, this tactic is not scalable, I get like 500 members every single day in my community. So if you're someone that has a lot of people to cater to, I would recommend you templatize this and still send it out. So you have a template, you just put their names in, and you already sign, and you just send that sign to everyone. You don't have to write a handwritten letter to everyone once you're at like a bigger scale. But when you're starting out, your first 30, 50, maybe even 100 members, you can absolutely write out handwritten letters to them, sign it yourself, and it's going to mean so much more to them. And it's going to like have crazy repercussions in a good way to your relationship with them. So the action items would be write out your first 50 handwritten cards. I think you can do that unless like you're already at a higher level. Then you need to templatize the cards after you get your first 50 to 100 members, because you're not going to do it for like 1,000 people, are you? Then keep a track of how many you've sent and how it relates to churn. And I guarantee you this one is going to be like a big mover. Then we have exit interviews. There's one single activity that can help you decrease your churn rate by at least 50%. It's called exit interviews. Exit interviews are coming from the most successful SaaS companies in the world. And the way you do it is that you do an exit interview whenever a member wants to cancel or has already canceled. It helps companies to understand the exact reasons why the member is leaving. From that, we can know exactly what we have to improve on so other members don't leave because of those reasons. The second thing it helps companies to do is get the member to not leave, because oftentimes the members leave because there's a certain feature or something missing that they are just not aware of and is already inside the community or the product that you're selling. So you're able to guide them through the process and find the features or the material inside your community. In some companies, by only doing these interviews, they're able to decrease their cancellation rate by 50%. That's insane. Ideally, at the beginning, these exit interviews are done by the founder because you need to know your business better than anyone else, and that's one of the most high ROI things you can do as a founder. And here are a few tips to take in mind when doing these exit interviews. Detach your ego from the conversation and be curious, not genius. Your aim is to serve the client and improve your product. Then apologize to the client for not fulfilling their needs. State a clear solution of how you will improve from now on. When you're on the exit interview, the last thing you want the customer to feel that is canceling or has already canceled is like, oh, this guy feels like his product is perfect and I'm the problem. No, you want to make them feel understood. Then talk to the member as if you would talk to a friend. You're just trying to know more. You're trying to improve your product, and that's the intention you should have behind it, and not like, oh, my product is perfect, you're the problem, and just talk to them like a friend. The members who are leaving or left will be shocked that the company's founder or team member actually took the time to have a call with them and hear them out. This is an extra process to implement, but it drastically improves your product and customer experience, therefore decreasing your churn rate. Basically, whenever someone declines their card or has already canceled, you can just send them this. Can we talk to you first? We just do this because we want to make things better. And this is exactly how you disprove them. And from that, if you're doing it properly, 50% of the people will end up staying. And that's like an ideal number to hit for, but definitely a lot of people that would have left will not be leaving. So here are the action items. Create an exit interview booking on calendly.com and create a script for exit interviews. Then we have the weekly reports. It's yet another way to add recurring value and make sure that your members are on track. Remember, we're trying to get them the best results possible. So you can do a weekly post where you ask your members to update certain KPIs. Let's say you're trying to help them lose X amount of weight in 6 weeks. So what they do is basically they put in every single week how much weight they've lost. It could be as small as like 500 grams, but it's a log that they have. Hey, I made this much progress. And this way you can make sure that your members are taking the right actions to take the right results. If they are on track, give them a cookie, tell them that they're doing amazing. Again, going back to approval. And if they're not on track, figure out why they're not on track and help them out, because that's your duty, right? So the action items would be make a weekly report, post template and add it to your list of recurring tasks to post it a certain day every week. Ideally, it could be Monday, but you can pick whatever you want. Then let's talk about increasing the price. I'm pretty sure if you're in the marketing world, you've heard about the wine test. And there are two types of wine tests basically. One is the blind wine test, where in a wine tasting experiment, using 400 participants, so it's statistically significant, Weissman found that the general members of the public were unable to distinguish expensive wines from inexpensive ones. People could not just tell the difference between cheap and expensive wine. So they could give them a $500 wine and a $50 wine, and people would not, like the layman could not distinguish between them. But there was another test done where what they would do is that they would make the subjects, the people that were being experimented on, they would give them a $50 wine, a $500 wine, and a $5,000 wine. And it was like in different bottles. The $50 wine obviously was in a cheaper looking bottle, and the 5,000 wine was really, really premium packaged, right? So every single person had the wine, and every single person loved the $5,000 wine. The catch is that the wine in all those bottles was the same. So just by increasing the price, we increased the amount of value that a person got from the product. That just goes to show the power that increasing prices have, because not only are you making more money yourself, you're also helping the customer gain more value by adding nothing to your product. A person that won the Skool games found out that his customers get more results when he increases the price, because they're more committed and they take more action. If you want to increase price for all customers, and I'm talking like existing customers, increasing prices is always great, but do it with a reason, right? You have to make your product better before you even think about doing this. If your product provides the same amount of value to your existing customers and you just randomly choose to increase your prices for existing customers, people will be mad, and it doesn't make sense for them, right? Once you felt confident enough that your product is more valuable, use this hot tip. I think this is your 5th hot tip. This is your lucky day. Frame the price increment like this. As a business owner, I must make my product better. I spent XYZ amount of effort and even XYZ amount of time or money making it more valuable, and for that reason, the prices are going up to X amount. What you just did there is blame the increasing in price on a bigger calling than just yourself wanting to make more money. Now, instead of people coming to you being mad for charging them more money, they will appreciate you for giving them more value for their investment. Also, think about it. Going to Starbucks isn't about going there to have a basic coffee. It's about the experience. Increasing prices right away is almost always good. You have happier customers, they get more results, you stop attracting bad clients, you have more margin so you can give them premium service. We have action items on this as well, but think about Starbucks, right? They charge you like $10 for a coffee that you could have made yourself for 50 cents. But from the money that they get, they start investing it into a better experience. The smell that you get when you walk into Starbucks, it's amazing, right? And that's also a part of the experience. They give you better seats, they give you free Wi-Fi that has really good speed, honestly, and then you can sit there and work. And they're only able to create that premium experience because they're charging you a premium price. If they were charging like $5, they would not have the bandwidth monetarily to give you that experience. So even yourself, you will be able to give your customers more value if you charge more money. That's just the plain truth. So the action items on this would be make the product better and charge more. And I know I've talked about charging more to your existing customers. This is how you do it. Make your product better and charge more. But you can just literally increase the price on your product for the new customers. Tracking RFM for calls and engagement in the community. RFM stands for recency, frequency, and monetary. So recency is how recently did they engage with your community. Frequency is how often they engage with the community, and monetary is how much money they've spent to be a part of the community. So going back to the stages of member churn that I've showed you, a person loves your community, then they kind of like it, then they're kind of neutral about it, then they dislike it a bit, then they absolutely hate it, and then they end up canceling. So this stages of member churn you have to put it in numbers to be able to track it. And this is exactly how you track it. You track how recently they've made a post or made a comment, how recently they've consumed your course. And then the frequency. Are they consuming your course every single day, or like every single week, or every single month? You need to know that stuff. Or are they posting every single day? And the people that are engaging with you recently and frequently, they're not going to be the ones that churn. The people that will churn are the people that stop getting value from your community because they're not interacting, they're not consuming any course. So that's why you need to track it. And the action items on this would be creating an RFM tracker and tracking what every single member is doing, how recently they're engaging, how frequently they're engaging, and even considering their investment that they have. So the next 2 points are in the same vein. Now, just like we track RFM, we also have to track the attendance on calls and the course completion rates. It kind of falls into the same category, but these are not exactly the same, so I've put it into different points. Tracking attendances on calls is simple. The reason you do it is, again, because of RFM, how recently they've engaged and how frequently they're coming on the calls. And you need to basically see these things and track these things. And the moment you see someone not joining calls, you have to reach out to them, which is like point number 17. But you have to track attendance and you have to track course completion rates. The action items on this would be creating an attendance tracking sheet, and the action items on this would be making a course completion tracker. Think about how you nurture a lead, right? You have a lot of contact with them at the start, and as they show less interest, your follow-ups go down eventually and they stop. Nurturing group people is like the opposite. You don't need to reach out to them when they interact with you daily. They're interacting with you, things are good, you don't need to reach out to them. As they stop showing up for calls or stop interacting in the community, you reach out to them for the first time. If they keep not showing up, you increase your reach out to understand why they're not being there, why they're not engaging, why they're not on the calls, why they're not watching the courses. And it also makes people think, oh, these are people who notice me and want me to be there. And it goes back to the point of attention and affection. That's exactly what we're trying to do with the reach outs, which is point number 17. Act like you care about them. And I say act like them, but you really should care about them. They're paying you money, and like, there's nothing bigger than that. So you should be caring about every single person that is inside your community. You should be caring about the results. I'm going to repeat myself here. Think of reach outs in terms of attention, affection, and approval. If you care about them, you reach out to them every 2 to 3 weeks, like that friend that lives far away from you, but you still maintain that contact. Have a customer success manager, which is like one of the last points we'll talk about, and assign them a group of people to join and have them be responsible for this. Foster relationships, treat them like you care. Here's an example. Hi, just wanted to say, oh my, you've collected more than 5,000 leads now. You're well on your way to become a true Sleek Note expert, or whatever you want to call them. I won't keep you busy reading this email because I'd rather see you increase the number even more. So rock on and keep those leads coming in. And that's a small example of reach outs. And the action item on this one is going to be creating a list of things you can reach out to people for. It could be birthdays if they show up on a call and talk about something. If they don't show up on a call, if they make a good post, if they have a win, if they complete their course. Or you can also check up on them when they're being quiet inside the community. Get a VA to do it, $3 per hour, or just get a CSM. And obviously create a sheet to track the follow-ups, because if you're not tracking, you're not basically doing anything. So those were the 8 points in accountability. Now we'll go on and we'll talk about how you can add monetary recurring value to your audience. The first one is help them cut your cost. And this was a beautiful post by Alex Hormozy inside the Skool community, and I'm going to read it out to you. The 3 ways to make Skool community free forever is getting your group to revenue over $99 per month, referring 3 friends, and saving $99 from anywhere else in your life that isn't making you money. Sure, there are loads of people who've made money on Skool on their first days, and tons of others who get the first 3 referrals very fast. But sometimes it takes longer than 14 days to have either of those happen. This means you have to invest something first before getting a return on investment. So let's address that. If you want to have a bakery or a gym or any business for that matter, it costs money. Albeit nowadays so much less than 50 years ago, but it still costs money. Even a website has hosting fees, and the homeless guy on the side of the road needs to either steal or borrow a marker to write his cardboard sign. It costs some money to start a business. So how do you manage that before you've made money from it? The answer is simple: by buying yourself time. Action items would be look at your bank or credit card statement from last month, find the lowest ROI $99, and usually you'll find way more than $99. There was this billionaire who used to call this having a giraffe, and basically
he was a billionaire, right? A lot of money, and he had a lot of payments that he made. And he realized that one of the companies were taking out money for like paying for a giraffe or buying a giraffe or for maintaining a giraffe, which had nothing to do with the business. They just asked for approval on that payment, and they just somehow got approval on the payment. So that expense was just piling up month after month, and the person didn't even know about it. That the billionaire, right? And I'm like kind of breaking the story into like very short, but you always have that giraffe in your bank account that you can cut down. That literally is making you no money and is of no use for you. And step number 3 is to delete that giraffe. That's it. It's so simple. The only thing simpler is not doing it. For anyone serious about building a business, this is one of the best, fastest, easiest way to get started, and we get more people across the profit line every single day.
So this is something you can do. You can help them cut your costs. And the way you can do this is you can just copy and paste this post inside your own community. Like if you want this document, message me on Instagram, just search my name, you'll find me and I'll happily send this over to you. But you can just copy this entire post and send this inside your community, and people will now either cut your cost, either refer 3 members, or get them like revenue over $99. And now that you've made them more than $99 and their community is essentially free, now you don't have to try so hard to keep them, right? Not only are you helping them clean up their life, it also pays for your subscription. So that's one thing you can do, help them cut your cost. The second thing is grandfathering. Just look at anime shreds. The Belmar brothers or the Thies brothers, whatever you want to call them. I'm not sure if you get the reference or not. The Thies brothers or the Belmar brothers. I'm not here to debate who they are, but they broke Skool by gaining 82,000 of monthly recurring revenue in just 48 hours. Here you can see their for about page. Now I'm not going to comment on how legit they are after seeing their leaked messages, but there is something we can learn from what they've built on Skool. If you keep improving your product without increasing the price, people will start perceiving your product as lower quality. Grandfathering refers to a pricing strategy where you can charge existing customers the same price that they initially signed up for, but charge new customers the updated price. Skool works in a grandfathered way, so you don't really have to do anything over the top for this. In theory, it would look something like this. Let's say my friend Ted Carr, for example, recently bumped up the price of his community twice, right? You can check this post out here. I can assure you that there was an influx of members after that post because it invoked true scarcity and urgency in them. So when people saw that we're on the fence to buying the community, that the price is going up 2x and they'll never be able to get it for the same price, they joined right now. So that adds a lot of scarcity and a lot of urgency. Here's the action item. The way Nate Thies implemented this is just by putting this in the community's bio. Anime Shred's price going up to $33 per month soon. That's all you kind of have to do to get started with the strategy. You just have to let people know that the price of your product is going up soon. And that creates a true scarcity and urgency within people, so they buy more often. That's the second point, grandfathering. Hi, so you're seeing a new house because I just got a new one, and that's why this video was kind of delayed. But it's here and I'm in the new house, so let's talk about the 18th tactic, which is discount codes. I don't see anyone doing this in Skool yet, but I learned this when I joined the 14-day Filmmaker Academy course. And you might have come across this dude or you might have not. But when I joined their course, they immediately gave me a bunch of discount codes on the software that was more than the value of the price of the course itself. I didn't buy all the software because I didn't need it, but some people definitely did need all the software. And there you go, right? Immediately, without even going through the course, those people got more value than the price they paid and were obviously satisfied because they're kind of saving more money because of this course. And without it, they would have to pay full prices for the softwares, and like that would be a waste of money for them. So on top of that, the link to buy was an affiliate link. So not only did 14-day Filmmaker satisfy their customer immediately, they also made money while doing so. Think about all the softwares that your customers have to use and try to contact the company to get an exclusive discount code and an affiliate link. Most of them will have an affiliate link on the website itself, so they might have a section called affiliates where you can go and you can become an affiliate for them, but maybe not a discount code. So for that, you might have to text their customer support or like just talk to them to see if they can give you a discount code. And a lot of the times, if you're big enough and they think you can bring a lot of value to them, they will give you the discount code as well. These companies are also happy because they're getting new customers, so it's very likely that you'll get one. And the action items for this would be to make a list of the softwares that your customers already use and reach out to the companies for affiliate links plus discount codes. And once you're done with that, we can move on to point number 19, which is giving an expensive course away. Well, I apologize, this was point number 21, it was misnumbered from above, but giving an expensive course away is pretty straightforward. This is not only a huge value add to your community, but also will help you with conversions. And one of the way that a Skool Games winner, Eveline Weiss, but she uses it in a very clever way. What she does is she adds a course onto her website and she prices it, let's say $150 or $250, and then she would mention that in her about page. Just mention that, hey, this course is up for sale for $250, and that's the truth. It is up for $250 if you want to buy it. But if you join this for like $50 or $60, I'm going to give that $250 thing away to you for free. So you can see how this would not only help you with churn because, oh, they're getting so much more value for what they're paying. It will also help you with converting them because like $250 of value for $50 or something like that. That's insane, right? And that's not even the main product. That's a bonus. So making bonuses like this, like giving an expensive course away, it can be really, really valuable. Even when I was at the team with Hamza working on that project, Hamza used to give away a course called How to Fuck Like an Alpha Male, and that used to go for $1,000, and you could get that joining for $120. So that's just a huge, huge value add. And also the people that only want to buy that thing would end up buying your entire thing and go through your entire stuff, which is also a great thing. So the action items for this would be add a course to your website and mention the price, and then add your about page or your video sales letter that you're giving away inside your community for free with a time unlock maybe. And if you like add a time unlock on top of that, it's going to be put on steroids because now they have to stay an extra month to get it. So let's say you're giving a $250 course away, you could unlock it on the second month, so you basically get $100, and it would still be a deal for them because they're only paying $100 and they're getting something for $250. That's the 21st point. After you're done with the actions, let's move on to the 22nd point, which is yearly plans, and the feature is available now. Basically, you can add annual payments, so offer monthly only, monthly and then annual only. Every subscription business that you see, be it Amazon or Google, they drive you for a yearly membership and they really push it hard. They give you big discounts so you can get into a yearly membership. And the reason is simple. The customers that are committed right now get to save money on the yearly plan because let's say you are 100% sure that you're going to use this for a year. It would be a really good deal for you if you get like 2 months off on that. So not only is it a big value add on the customer side, but for you, you will guarantee that they stay with you for a year and you will get prepaid. So you're collecting cash up front, which is the biggest thing you can do as a business. Cash is king. And even if they do churn, it will be after a year. So imagine the lifetime values. Like if your average lifetime value is, let's say, 4 months. When I was working on one project, it was 4 months for them. If they sold an annual plan, that guy is like more than, like it's actually going to be 3 times the LTV that he stays, if that makes sense. Not the LTV because the annual price would be a little lower, but he's going to end up staying 3 times longer than an average person would just because he bought the annual plan at the start. And another benefit is that you will have a lot of time to make your product valuable to make them stay for the next year. So let's say they buy the annual plan, they start absolutely hating your product by 6 months. You have 6 months to basically win them back. Or maybe like if they start hating it after 8 months, you have 4 months to win them back, which is a huge thing. A year to indoctrinate them and build the right beliefs so that they stay with you forever. Imagine like a cool subscription business like Google Drive. I pay for Google Drive every single year, and I'm gonna do that for the rest of my life till I'm alive because I need it, and like there's no reason for me to live. But imagine if I like bought an annual plan, and I started hating it, like in a month, they would still have 9 months or like 11 months to make me happy. So that's an opportunity that you get as well. The action items on this would be to create an annual offer and allow annual payment by following this tutorial here. You can just search how to offer annual payments and you'll find it. But if you find this doc and if I've shared this document with you, you can basically just go to that SOP and you can add annual payments. So after you've taken the actions on the yearly plans, the point number 23 is offering a pause membership button. I recently joined a gym since I moved to a new place, but they have like a lot of gyms in a lot of countries and a lot of continents, and they're a really, really big chain. So they've really dialed in their business down and understand what offers maximizes LTV for their customers, because they've been doing it for a lot of time and they've been doing it a lot as well. They have a really, really good offer, and I bought their yearly plan, of course. But one of the things that stuck out to me is that they offered the pause membership, and that was the feature that pushed me over the line. Because in my head, I was thinking, what if I have to travel someplace for a month? I won't be able to use my subscription and it will go to waste. And I'm sure a lot of people cancel their memberships for the same reason. If you let it know somehow in your marketing that you offer to pause memberships, and if they upgrade to a quarterly or yearly plan, only then you offer to pause a membership. I was gonna say relationships. That's funny. Offer to pause a membership. People will buy and stick around for longer. But this feature isn't available in Skool right now. So you would have to do it manually through Stripe, and that's a pain, but it really will increase your conversions. And the action items on this would be to offer a pause membership button. I mean, there won't be a physical button, but you just have to let it known in your marketing so people know that, hey, if you're buying the annual plan, for any reason you're not able to use the membership properly, you can pause it. That is an option. You can use it on exit interviews, which is a really, really powerful tool again, because we've talked about exit interviews above. So if you just skipped here and you're watching this video right now, like, you should go here and watch the 11th point again. But if you're basically using this in exit interviews, it's gonna help you a lot, because now once you find out their reasons, and if the reason is that, oh, they won't be able to use the membership for whatever reason anymore, they can come back to it a month later, they can use it, and that won't be a problem. So that should really help you keep people inside when you go on the exit interviews, and it's really a great tactic. I could not emphasize on it more. One of my friends, Benny, he used this in his own Skool group and he's got insane results. I cannot emphasize enough on this. You have to be doing this, and you have to offer pause membership buttons, not a physical button again. The 24th point after you've taken action on 23, which is offering pause membership buttons, is offering a SaaS. I just moved to a new place, so I bought a new Wi-Fi and they gave me a new router, and it was from a new company. They offered me these OTT platforms, and for someone that is used to binge watching TV shows, or they want subscriptions to like Apple TV or other subscriptions that they were offering for free, it would be a lot of value, because the subscription that I pay for, it's not only for the Wi-Fi, but also for these platforms that I'm not paying for, that I'm getting as a bonus. And they would have cost me an amount every single month that I'm now just getting for free. So even if I'm just binge watching those shows and it is something of value to me, even if the Wi-Fi like is not that valuable, it has a shit service. I mean, not a shit service, but even if it has a decent service, I would still be thinking in my head that, oh, I'm getting this as a free bonus, I should probably keep this Wi-Fi, because like I'm getting much more value than I'm paying for. So Max Person, one of the OGs on Skool, gives away a GHL account, a Go High Level account, to his members for free, which would usually cost $500 per month, and Max gives it in his community for free, and his community is for $100. Just imagine the amount of value it adds. Usually the subscription would be for 500, but they get to keep it here. So if the worst case scenario is that they've got all the value from the group and they want to leave now and they're convinced that they should leave, they still think to themselves that they're getting $500 software for a fourth of the price. and a lot more than that, a lot more than just the software, and they would stay. Like if I was using Go High Level, instead of going and buying Go High Level, I would just go and buy Max's group. That's how valuable this is. So the action items on this would be to brainstorm softwares that you can white label that solves your customer's problem. If you're having a fitness offer and you're giving GHL for free to people, that's a stupid idea. You need to be solving your customers' problems with the software that you're giving out. And then you basically white label it and offer it to them. So those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points in the monetary subsection. But now we'll move on to the community part. Cool. The next few tactics we'll cover are taking you off the stage and building an autonomous community and a sense of community where people feel like they belong. Think about it, the reason a community is so powerful is because on platforms like YouTube, Instagram, all the other platforms, right? You have to show up for people to connect or people to even like get value from you, but that's not the same when it comes to a community. So think about like you being on a stage when you're making YouTube videos or like Instagram videos or whatever, but when it comes to a community, every single person you have on the community is on the stage and they're all allowed to talk, they're all allowed to share, they're all allowed to like give value to each other, and them even connecting with each other is of value because that forms a human bond. There's a lot of statistics stating that there has been like a plague of loneliness. So even them connecting is a lot of value. And now that everyone is on the stage, you don't have to be the person posting every single day, trying to give value to your audience. And if you don't post, like your community is still going to thrive if you make it right. So all these points that we're going to cover are going to have your community in the best shape possible. So now that you understand why the community is so important, let's start with point number 25, which is milestone plaques. This is super powerful and it comes directly from YouTube, this idea. And I'm sure you know they give out plaques, right? The silver play button, which is achieved with 100k channel subscribers, which I'm gonna have soon. Then we have the gold play button, which is awarded at 1 million subscribers. Then we have the diamond play button, which is awarded at 10. The custom creator award, which is awarded at 50. Then the rare red diamond button for 100 million subscribers. And having used this milestone strategy, it gamifies the experience for your customer. Like me, I really want the silver play button for some reason. I don't know why. Then it gives them results and status when they achieve it. So now that I'm reaching for 100k subscribers, and when I do have, let's say the plaque, the silver plaque, I can show it off to people and that adds status to me. It uses survivorship bias to your advantage and it gives your product status when they're seen with it. Let's take the ClickFunnels trophy for example, right? If you see someone having a ClickFunnels trophy in their background, you listen to them because you know they're credible. But you also think that ClickFunnels is such an amazing product because someone successful has used it to make a lot of money. The thing is, it uses survivorship bias, and I need to explain it more because now that you see someone using ClickFunnels, they have a plaque on the wall in the back, and now you think automatically in your head that, oh, anyone that uses ClickFunnels automatically makes a lot of money. But that obviously isn't the case. There are people that use ClickFunnels and haven't made even $1 from it, but there are also people that have made a ton of money and they have the ClickFunnels award. So you want to show these people off, just like goal setting, right? Everyone sets a goal, but not everyone achieves the goal. So whenever who achieves the goal talks about how they set goals and they achieve it, everyone thinks that setting goals is the thing that made them successful, but that's obviously not the case. That really goes to show how survivorship bias can be negative or positive, and in this case, we're going to use it as a positive. Here's what Matthew, the guy who runs Skool's podcast, has to say about the exclusive milestones here. Let's watch this clip.
Like, I don't care what your community is. I don't care if I even despise your niche. If I'm in there and I see something that I cannot buy, it's like it does something to my brain that drives me crazy. So I would like, actually, you know what? I would.
So that's really the effect that we want every single of your customers to have. Make these things exclusive and hard to get. It shouldn't be something that they can just buy. It should be something that they have to earn. not in terms of money. Milestones can be level based, so you can say that, oh, if you get above level 6, you get this exclusive t-shirt that you cannot buy. Or you can make it results based, which is, okay, once you hit 10k per month with this program, or you hit like a bicep size of 16 inches from this program, you get an exclusive 24k diamond ring, or whatever you want the exclusive gift to be. The action item for this would be to add a milestone plaque using the ideas above. And after you're done with the actions, let's move on to point number 26, which is making the membership free after level 7. When people get to know that they can get your community for free after level 7, they engage a lot. And I really don't have to hop on this point for any more than I have right now. It's pretty simple. Every single community that has done this has seen a spike in engagement, and it's just a good thing for you to do. So you should do it. And the action item for this would be to unlock free membership at level 7, and that's it. After you've done that, we go on to point number 27, which is adding a category called banter. In Skool's main community, Andrew Kirby saw that the group was dead, no one was posting anything, and he thought he'd get fired if this continued. He came up with the idea to start a new category called banter, and immediately someone made a post in there and got hundreds of likes in just a few hours. The basis of this is that people want to have fun, right? Look at how much money is being spent on going out, going on bars, having drinks, video games, and everything. People want to have fun, and they want that to be in a positive place. There are too many negative things on the internet. You go to Instagram, you see half-naked women. You go to Twitter, it's almost like going to Pakistan. You start seeing terrorists. And if you're laughing at that, you're probably a good sport. And if you're not laughing at that, you're probably from Pakistan. Whenever people see other people winning or making money, losing weight, and celebrating it, they want to be there. They want to be a part of that. And make sure your group is fun to be in, and this category does exactly that. So the action item for this would be simple: to add a category called banter or fun inside your Skool community. And after you're done with this action item, we'll move on to the next one, which is ascribing an identity and creating enemies. Every big community does this. Sam Ovens created the businessman versus civilian identity. Hamza optimizes for people to become Adonis to Jeffrey, right? Sorry, Adonis from Jeffrey. So you are Jeffrey, you join his program, you become Adonis. So here's what it would look like in terms of how you need to think about this. Think about what identity you could sell. If you're someone that sells sales coaching, for example, instead of being vanilla and calling your group a sales coaching group, you can be a little creative, and you can now call your community a sales cartel, right? That's like, everyone wants to be a gangster, don't they, right? The people in your community are now a part of a cartel, and all of them are gangsters. This makes them feel more connected to your group in the first place. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is that after you've given the identity a name, and it's something that people aspire to be, it's something cool that they want to be, you need to ascribe actions to it. Like, for example, again, every sales cartel member takes 15 calls per day and closes high-ticket clients daily and makes 10k per month. That's just what they do. They wake up, they take 15 calls, they close some of them, they close at, let's say, 30%. Give them an ideal day where a person in your community that identifies as, a person in the sales cartel, they would do all these things. They would take 15 sales calls, they would close at 30%, and they would make $10,000 per month. And that's the ideal that they're reaching for. They are the top salespeople in their company. Their bosses take good care of them and are afraid that they will leave, since the cartel members are quite literally the breadwinners of the business. And the bosses cannot afford them to leave, right? Now, if you think this all sounds amazing, let's put the strategy on steroids like one of the co-owners of Skool.com. Create a culture where anytime someone in your group closes a client, they post a win with a custom GIF. So let's take the example of Iman's group. They have the fish, then they have a whale, then they have a shark. Or I don't know. I think they have the fish, then the shark, then the whale. And whenever someone closes a client for $2,000, they post a fish. Whenever someone closes a client for $8,000, they post a shark. Not only are they now identifying as a part of the community, but also they're sharing their wins. Now, people in your group are winning, sharing their wins. Not only are they feeling good about their results, they're also feeling good about sharing the win, because now they're getting status and people are complimenting them, they're getting a lot of affection and approval. It's giving them insane status, and they're like tracking them back to directly your community. And that's a lot of value that you're adding. And on top of that, other people are seeing your wins that, hey, this program 100% works. That's insane social proof. Also, it builds a lot of belief in the person's head. And to really learn anything from someone, you need to first believe in your teacher 100%. So that builds the belief. People in your community should think everyone is winning all the time in the community. There should be wins every single day. And these wins start from you ascribing an identity to your people. And to put this like even on more steroids, like one of the co-owners of Skool.com, what you can do is you can also create enemies. So let's take Hamza as an example, right? Adonis, he really loves working out, he reads books, he does a lot of good habits. The enemies would be your phone, social media, sites like Pornhub.com and everything like that. So now you're also fighting against something and you're going towards something, and that's really, really powerful. The action item on this would be to ascribe an identity and create enemies. So you can have like social media, that's like the general enemies that you can create. Anything that helps your customers, you should push them towards, and everything that deteriorates their health or anything like whatever result you have, anything that takes them away from the result, you should add that as an enemy and brainstorm this and then come up with a perfect thing. You're not gonna have it perfect the first time, but you can iterate it over time. And once you're done with point number 28 with the action items, we can move on to point number 29, which is promoting effective leadership. Sam Ovens and Ted Carr became good friends using the same principle. Whenever Sam sees people who are actively doing more and engaging with his community, he starts giving them more of his time and he talks to them. And just by being friends with these community people, it helps him get more feedback about his product. It helps him understand his customers best. He thinks about what makes them tick, what things do they love, what things do they hate about their product. And also through those, he finds ways to start improving the product. He doesn't come up with ideas in his head that, oh, today I woke up and I had this idea and I'm going to add this to Skool. No, he's talking to the most committed people all that use Skool. You need to increase access to yourself for these people. And when new members see that, they have something to aspire towards. Like, imagine you're really supporting someone or talking to someone that is being really active in your group, and you're giving him recognition, you're taking his name, you're bringing him up on stage whenever you have a Zoom call. Other people see that and they think to themselves like, I would really want to be that guy. And like, that's a really, really strong driver of people recognition. And trust me, a lot of people in the Skool games, they really want to win the Skool games to take a selfie with Hormozy. And that's just the plain truth. So people love recognition, and I could not state it more, right? Empower your members by involving them in the decision-making progress. You can do this individually by asking the top contributors their opinions in the DMs or publicly via polls or surveys. And that really promotes a sense of ownership and even leadership within them. When other people see that the most engaged people have more access to you, they'll start doing the same. People want access to you if you're cool, and if you're a YouTuber that has a really good channel, you can trust me on this one. People really want access to you, and that's a big reason why they pay you the money that they pay you. So the action item for this would be simple, is to actively promote effective leadership starting today. And once you're done with the action item, we'll move on to point number 30, which is pinning other people's posts. This has the same effect. When you're trying to pin other members' posts, it gives them more status. It makes them feel good about making the post. Other members of the community that notice it start dream of being pinned by you too, which makes them want to post more inside of the community. And again, this is another part of promoting effective leadership. So again, action item would be to start pinning other people's posts. And once you're done with the action item, we'll move on to building a good community culture. And this is really important for any Skool community, because you should create a set of values and principles that your community is going to be run by. Building a good culture is basically like, you need to define what culture is before you even do anything about it. So building a good culture is literally about clearly defining what behaviors are rewarded and what behaviors are punished. And for an example, you might have seen in the Skool community that there's a huge emphasis in having business be fun as opposed to be corporate and boring, right? And that's something that the founder, Sam Ovens, really has like thought of himself, and then that culture has seeped down into the users of the community. So that's exactly how you need to like think about culture as well. Culture is always top down, so whatever values, beliefs you are trying to impose, you have yourself, will fall down into the community that you built, right? Well, you're getting another hot tip here. Culture is always top down, like I just explained, which means that it flows from the founder or CEO to the employees and then to the users. You have to embody the values first, and then only would the people be a part of it. Like, this is a screenshot from some company, and these are their values, and that comes directly from the founder, and then it seeps into the employees, right? Also, feel free to impose rules. Always remember that this is your community and you can do whatever you want. If you hate black people, you can just ban them randomly. If you hate Muslims, you kick them out. If you hate white people, you can ban them. If you don't like men, you can just ban them. If you don't like transgender people, you can ban them. If you don't like someone making a certain type of post, you can ban them. If you don't like people promoting their stuff inside your community, you can ban them. If you don't like people putting hiring posts in your community, you can ban them. It's just a gentle reminder that this is your community and you can do whatever you want with it. And I'll just go into a short story about the Hamza's I'm leaving post. So it's basically about when I was in Hamza's community, a lot of people obviously like wanted to leave. Not everyone will stay. Honestly, what they were starting to do is every time a person wanted to leave, they would start to make a post on Skool about why they were leaving and how like the community doesn't serve them anymore and all that bullshit. And honestly, it was just like a loser's post that just wanted to get his last piece of attention. Even in the community, I wasn't liking it. No one was liking it except like a few people that were like, oh yeah, you're right, and like random stuff, right? So what Hamza did to combat this, because obviously he wasn't liking this, like if you want to leave, just leave. You don't have to make a big deal about it. So what Hamza did about this is that he literally just made a post. Any I'm leaving post will be deleted, and it will not be tolerated if you're like making an I'm leaving post for XYZ reason. And then he basically told why it's not cool. And that was just a rule that he came up with because he could. It's his community, he does whatever he wants. So again, like going back to the point of building a good community culture, you can do whatever you want. Define what actions you want to reward and define what actions you want to be punished, and just impose them if you have to. Action items for this would be to make a list of behaviors you will reward and punish and then impose them in your group. And we'll move on to building a community map. Hamza has a community map, and one time he made a post asking people in Adana School what he should do to improve the community. The number one comment was to ask everyone in the community to add themselves to the map so they could figure out and like find people that they can build a connection with in real life. So I've mentioned this previously in the video. In-person connections are really the best thing you can do as a community owner for your community people. So just like have a map where everyone has placed where they live so they can like eventually connect. And if they end up connecting through the community and they end up building a good relationship, they find a business, maybe they get in a relationship, maybe they start working out together, maybe they have children together, they will trace it back to your community, and that's a lot of value that you're adding without doing much. So also, like, I might build a software for this soon, but the action items for this is to build a community map. And once you're done with the action item for this, we'll go on to gathering spaces. Gathering spaces are, again, the same thing. You're helping them connect further on video calls. So creating flexible gathering spaces that accommodate various types of interactions and allow for growth. You can use websites like gather.town, or you can just make a 24/7 Zoom link like Hamza does, where people can connect whenever they want. And on this call, they can do literally whatever they want. They can like set up times where they can hop on together or whatever. You don't have to control this at all. You just have to make a link and make it known that, hey, we have this. If you want to hop on at any time, you can. And that's a big value add. So action items for this would be to set up Gather Town if you want to, or you could set up a 24/7 Zoom call, and then you have to just make it known that you have this available and people will start joining. After you're done with the action items, we'll move on to point number 34, which is having a vision or roadmap. And this is crucial for your community. A roadmap can help you and your team to develop a shared understanding of your vision, strategy, and outcomes. That's what I'm talking about here. If you don't understand what a vision roadmap is, every SaaS has a roadmap, a software as a service business has a roadmap that tells its users about the upcoming features. Think Skool itself, right? There are a set of features that you know are in the works and that will solve a problem that you currently have in the future. So that makes you stick around more, and that like gives you more belief in the product, that has you keep being optimistic about it. This gives your community a much better vision of what is to come and gives people an extra reason to stay. And let's talk about this more, how this gives people an extra reason to stay. Imagine one of your members is struggling with generating leads for his business and your program currently offers no help on that front, but you are planning to make a course which will help them make $1,000 using lead gen with that training, right? If a person is about to cancel, you can just tell them, hey, I will be launching this training the next month, which will cover the cost for your entire year of membership. Just to explain this further, this person has a problem that he's not able to generate leads, and you don't have a course on it currently, but you're planning to launch it in the future. But because you don't have something on it currently, the person is thinking, oh, I should cancel because this is not solving my problems anymore. So he's on the verge of cancellation. He's probably on an exit interview with you. You guys are talking and you have to figure out a way for you to like have that last string, that last thing you can add value to in his life, right? So this vision roadmap could literally be it a lot of the times. On the exit interview, for example, you can say, hey, I have this training on lead gen that will solve your problem. And with this training, you will be able to make $1,000 within like a month or within 2 months. Then you can tie it back to the cost of the community. So let's say your community is like $80 per month. They make $1,000, they're covered for the rest of the year and more. So now you see how this could be helpful. Now, of course, if they go through your training and they don't get the results and they ask you for a refund after that, it's completely valid since you did not get them what you promised. But vision roadmaps are a really good thing that you should be doing. And the action items for this would be to create a roadmap for your community. Just plan out the things that are upcoming, the courses that you're going to drop, the things that you're doing for the community that you already have in plans, but you just have to make it known to your people. Let's talk about gamifying your membership now. And this is really crucial. Think about it. People are so addicted to video games because they have a point system. Because like it's really addicting to just, have seeing yourself level up and making progress towards something, towards rewards. And that's really why Skool has this leveling system. It's because it's fun and it's because it's motivating for people to just like having a gamified experience as opposed to like something that they need to do. So let's understand how Skool points work and how you can gamify your membership and how you can add rewards. So Skool points is basically this. You have level 1 to 9 and you'll have points 0, 5, 20, 65, 155. And then you basically have level 9, which is an insane amount of points. So I haven't really seen a lot of people at level 9, if I'm being honest. So this is how it's gamified, and every single level you can add a specific reward. So you can see like level 1, nothing happens. Level 2, you can add something to unlock. Level 3, you can add something to unlock. Level 4, you can add something if you want to. Level 5, you can add something. So these are just like things and little cookies that you can give to your customers for them to still be motivated. Imagine you have a community that's selling, okay, we teach you how to make 100 grand every single month and you're starting from zero. So you give them a cookie at their first $1,000, you give them another cookie at their first $5,000, you give them another cookie at the first $10,000, and that's how you basically keep them motivated. They're not going to hit like 100K right off the bat, but what they are going to do is like they'll have these smaller milestones, and as long as you keep rewarding those behaviors, those outcomes, they will be on track to like getting the next thing and then the next thing and then the next thing. So it's really important that you gamify your membership. I could make a video on this, like a 20-minute video on gamification alone, but we don't have that much of time. So just know that you need to gamify your membership and you need to add reward with almost every single level that there is. We've talked about this before. You can unlock free membership at level 7. We can unlock an in-person mastermind with you at level 7 or level 8. It should be really hard to get these things where you spend your own time, and the rewards that are really big should also be harder to earn, so not everyone has it. Also at level 6, like we talked about, you can unlock a milestone plaque. Like you can give them a t-shirt, a ring, a bathrobe, and anything you think is exclusive and they cannot buy. You can like think of different rewards like these and add them. So the action item for this would be to add levels and things people can unlock as they level up. And for example, unlock free membership at level 7, which we just covered on point number 26. After you're done with the action items, we'll go on to customer support. And I haven't really put in a lot here because it could either be you, your PA, your personal assistant, or your virtual assistant at the start, but having good customer success is essential. There's a reason every SaaS company has people dedicated to it. Even if you see Skool, there are people that are replying to comments and replying to DMs, and they're making SOPs on how you can do stuff. That's a part of customer success, like customer support, right? You can always DM them if you're having a problem. You can always ask them questions because inevitably, anything you make, people will have problems with it. And if you don't have someone that is replying quickly to them, having like behaving properly and presenting your brand in the right way, they'll think that like the customer service is shit, and so is the product, right? If you buy, let's say, a camera and your camera has a 1-year warranty, and then you go to their customer support and they're not replying, you would be pretty pissed off. If you're having a bigger group, 1,000 people, 2,000 people, one person might seem small, but you've made a promise to that person to deliver the best service, and that's exactly what you have to do. So customer support is really important. Have someone that is replying to any tickets, any problems that your customers might be having, anything in the community that is being posted. You need to be on top of it, or someone in the customer support team should be on top of it. So the action item on this would be to have speedy customer support. Just hire someone, a VA, a PA, or if you're starting out, it could be you, but make sure you even have like an email, support@yourdomain.com, right? Where people can reach out to you if they're having problems, or you can even let them know that they can reach out to you on Skool, or they can reach out to this person on Skool, so they can get all their questions answered at any point. So that's customer support, and now we've covered every single aspect there is to building a good community. And after you're done with every single action step in the community part, what you can do is you can start to look at the education part of your stuff. And honestly, this is one of the most, not one of the most, I think this is the most important thing you can focus on. And this is the most important thing in your product as well, education. And this is mostly what people are paying you for. If you don't have a good course, if you don't have good education, you could have the best community, you could have the best calls. It wouldn't really matter. There are statistics that say that you can start a Skool group without even like having classroom and having any courses, but that's for people that are starting out. If you want to build something really great, really exceptional, you need to put 80% of your focus on this. So these are the 3 steps, these are the 3 points that we can have to improve education within your community. Point number 37 is so crucial. I have to mark it a green because you need to decide 3 activation points on your customer journey. One of the projects that I was working on, it has so much overwhelm, so many moving parts, and I've talked about this on a podcast that I've recorded with Victor Romanovich, which is coming out pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. But it's so important to not have your customer confused whenever someone is coming inside. You have someone in their current situation, you have someone in their desired situation, and you have a path to take them there. All you need to do now is give them like 3 points in their journey. You need to map out the 3 most important points that they need to go through to get the success that they want, right? And everything else you remove. You don't need to add a lot of stuff inside your course, inside your community to make it worth the price. All you need to do is you need to take them from point A to point B, which is their dream outcome, right? So you need to decide 3 activation points, and here's how you can do it. If you don't already know, people will only get results if they take action. I can guarantee you that no one inside your community is going to get results by watching stuff on the classroom. And that's just the truth of it. If you just keep putting more and more stuff inside of it, it's just going to ruin your program even more. This is basic, but a lot of people miss this, right? You need to add an action item after every single module you make so your customers are moving towards their desired outcomes at all times and not just watching your content and this word mentally, right? You don't need to be like putting in a lot of stuff. This is crucial in retaining people because remember, the best way to make them stay is to deliver on your promise. We talked about this here, getting client results. If you're delivering them results, there's no reason for them to leave. I know that's a big secret, just keep this between you and me, but if you get them the results that they want, they will stay with you forever. But after you've decided the 3 activation points and you've added an action item in every single part of your classroom, and anything you think doesn't have an action item, just remove it. It's not needed. Like, they don't need it. And the action item for this would be to chunk down your course so members don't get overwhelmed. What you can also do is that if you have like a lot of products, a lot of courses, you can have time unlocks so they're not just dumped with a lot of information at the start, because then it's like YouTube, right? If they wanted only information, they could go to YouTube. If they wanted a lot of information, right? So they've come to them because you have a plan, you have a strategy, you have a plan for them. So don't be the guy that's just dumping the information on them. And then chunk your action items into small bits to give them a sense of progress. Like, again, the example of getting them to 100K followers. First, they need to make their first $1,000, but before that, they need to create a Stripe account. So create the first small action items so they keep feeling progress and they keep actually having progress in the first place. Once you're done with 37, we need to learn about providing passive value. And this is something that no group is doing, but this is pretty revolutionary stuff for Skool, and this is basics for any SaaS. The best known softwares use this. Think Uber suggests if you're in the SEO world, or Backlinko or Instantly.ai. You need to keep giving people value even if they don't log into your community or onto Skool. It's a smart way to add recurring value outside of your community. Remember, we talked about one-time value versus recurring value. One-time value is education, like one time, but if you're providing passive value through other means, which we're going to talk about, it's going to be insane, because like you would be one of the first people to even adopt this on Skool, right? For example, you already have the emails of the people inside your community. You can send them exclusive weekly emails that are valuable to them. The emails can be a valuable post from a member in your community, a new insight you've gained after having experience, a compilation of the best content you've consumed this week, a new training you've launched, share a win with the member, and like 1,000 other things you can think about yourself, right? These are just some ideas. Not only will this give them another reminder to log into your community again, but also serves extra bonuses to give them more value. No one is doing this. If you're the first one of the first people that's doing this, I'm pretty sure this is going to reduce your churn. Then we have using time unlocks for course content and masterminds. And we already talked about this here, so I'm not going to talk about it more. But going back to the graph that I showed you, once they consume your course, the utility of your product goes down and down and down and down, and it ends once they've acquired the skill. But their value starts here. They start consuming a course, and once you like unlock another course for them that is actually valuable to them, the value goes here. And then once they consume it, it goes down, and then the value goes here, then it goes down, then the value goes here, then it goes down, then the value goes here, then it goes down. So you really need that to happen, and that's something you can do with time unlocks. So you can drip your old course, or you can drop a new course. That's the only way to do it. And you can figure out how to do like drip the course on your own, but if you don't, you just follow this SOP if I give this document to you. The action item for this would be to use time unlocks for classroom content. And after you're done with optimizing education for your community, it's time to talk about the big thing. It's time to talk about the thing that you've probably been waiting for, which is reversing churn. Reversing churn is making money from churn itself. And this is so important, and I don't see a lot of people talking about this inside Skool community, even on the masterminds. But this is something that is revolutionary, that will change your business forever. Reversing churn is about getting negative churn, and churn is a negative word. So if you've studied math in school, minus equals plus, right? So negative churn is actually a good thing. Ascension is the only way you can create negative churn, and any money you make from selling your existing customers a better offer is called expansion revenue. What we're looking for here is expansion revenue. Every single customer, once they get in, let's just say they pay you $50. If you sell them on something for $5,000, then they're worth a lot more to you. And now you're basically allowed to spend a lot more money to get a lot more members. And every single member will have it will mean a lot more to you, right? So there are only two ways to have expansion revenue at this point. I could be wrong, there could be more stuff, but the first one is having a value ladder. And this is essential, right? There are two ways to get ascension. Basically having a value ladder, upselling and cross-selling. There's a difference between upsells and cross-sells, but we won't go into it. We will only talk about upsells since I assume that you only have 1-2 groups and you don't have multiple offers. If you're doing that, probably watch something else, and maybe you should learn more about cross-selling. But the value ladder creates a set of offers for different customers at different stages. For example, let's say I own a soap brand. I sell you a soap, but that creates new problems for you. Now, let's just say the soap was for $2. Now you also need to keep the soap somewhere clean. So I'll sell you something that holds the soap, and I'll charge you $3 for that. Now you'll also need something to scrub your body, right? And I'll charge you $5 for that. Imagine if I did not have these two offers and I only had the first offer. One customer would be worth $2 to me, and now he's worth $10 to me. 5 times, and this is just an example. So now let's understand the value ladder, and this is taken directly from Russell Brunson's book. It's completely stolen, and I'm just going to explain it to you in my words. So firstly, we have the bait, and it's also called the lead magnet. This is how you draw people into your ecosystem. It's a free high value offer to build immediate trust with new prospects. The best example I can give you of the best lead magnet, or one of the best lead magnets ever created on this planet Earth, is this video itself. It's 2 hours long, free value. Anything that you need to know about churn, you will know. And this is by far the best video on any platform on the internet about reducing your churn on Skool, right? So this is the perfect lead magnet, and you need to create something like this, which is extremely valuable to your audience. And now you build trust with them. Now they look up to you as an expert. After you have the lead magnets, you can have multiple of them. After you have the lead magnet, you can move on to the front end offer. This is where you ask your prospect to become a customer, but still this should be a very compelling and a heavily discounted offer. A free book plus shipping offer works great, or buy one get one free discount. It should be really low ticket, $10, $5, $7. But in my opinion, you can't skip this. Then we have the middle. By this point, you've provided the customer a lot of free value, and even super low ticket. I wouldn't recommend you have the first front end offer. Now it's time for them to take a bit more of a leap. This should be the main thing you sell to your customers, whether it's a subscription, a product, or a service. So this is the middle offer. Then we have the back end. Now we're moving into the zone where some of your customers will be able to go. Not all of them will be able to buy something that's higher, who excel and are highly committed to your products and services. So these are people that have consumed your bait, consumed your front end offer if you have one, consumed your middle stuff, and then they've gotten really good results after implementing your plans. And now they have ascended to the back end offer. This should be more expensive and more valuable. Then we have the peak. Finally, we've reached the point where you want to take all of your customers if possible. That's an ideal case situation. You're not going to get there. That should be a goal. As many people as possible, where you offer the most value for the highest price. This is your premier offer. And one big thing that this offer really does for you is that it sets a really high price anchor. So it's really easy now to sell the middle offer. So I recommend you have the bait, the middle, and the peak, and only those three offers, and you can remove the front end and the back end unless you're already a really, really established business. So this is how the value ladder works, and you keep charging them more, solving bigger problems again and again, because once you solve one problem, it creates new problems. Like you help them make $1 million, but now you have to teach them how to invest that $1 million, how to manage it properly, right? How to make the most out of the $1 million. So problems never end. You just create newer and better problems, and that's how you keep charging them more, keep driving them up the value ladder. And bringing this back to the conversation that we were having, you could have a Skool group for $22 and for everyone, and that could be your middle offer, maybe $50, maybe $200, $500, whatever you want to price it at, whatever value you're providing. But after that, if you have that and then you have something at the peak where you're charging them $5,000, $50,000, $100,000, every single customer is now worth more to you. And only now are you achieving expansion revenue. I hope that all makes sense. You have to really focus on having a peak offer and then basically getting the people up there. So ideally, when you've got people in your community already paying you, you should have an offer that allows them more access to you and solve a bigger problem that is worth more to them. A key here is to solve that next problem, give them more value, and charge them more as a result, right? The action item for this would be to create a value ladder. You could brainstorm the offers that you can offer to your customers and come up with a bait, come up with a middle offer, which you already should be having, and come up with the peak offer. And this is the thing you sell them to get expansion revenue. And this is exactly how you could get negative churn. That's point one covered. The other thing is having an affiliate culture. Again, like either you sell something more to the existing customer or you have existing customers, bring in more money, literally bring in more money to your business by basically referring you to other people. I specialize in this since I was leading the affiliate marketing department for Hamza at Adona School. I also have a testimonial on my channel if you want to check it out. But if every customer brings you one more customer, they're automatically worth double, and actually even more, because that customer that they bring will be bringing in more customers, and that's just the network effect that having one customer starts. So it's really important that you have an affiliate culture. And when I say culture, I mean you really encourage people referring other people into your business. You could set this up on thrivecard.com. That's how we used to do it at Adona School, and we were getting in a lot of extra revenue that we would not have otherwise, because now not only are you winning as like the business, the person that is referring you business is also winning because they're getting a cut, and they don't have to have the product, they don't have to have the customer support, they don't have to do basically any work. They just have to send a link to someone that already desires the product, and once they're done with that, they are making money essentially. So I think that's a really clever way, having an affiliate culture. One important thing is that you also, like, while you have to make it known, you also have to have like a training for your customers on how to become a good affiliate. And like, if you want a training, I have a big training that I've created for Hamza. And if you want it, you can just DM me asking me for it on my Instagram, and I might send it to you if I think you're a good fit for this, because I'm not trying to share this with everyone. So action items for this would be to set up affiliates on thrivecard.com and then make a referral a part of your culture and add it as a way your customers can make more money ASAP. If they don't have a product, this should be truly the way they make a lot of money at the start, because they don't have to build anything, they just have to refer people. So it's an easy thing for them, and it's a win-win-win for everyone. The person that buys, the person that refers, and you as the business. So that's how we reverse churn. But we've covered everything. Like, we've covered the pre-sale, what you need to do before you even have the person inside. We've covered what you need to do in the first 7 days, which is time to first value, TDFV. Then we've covered calls, we've covered community, we've covered courses. Then we have accountability. We've covered how we could add monetary value. We've covered how we can make money from churn. And at the end, we have ninja shit, where I'm really going to use loss aversion and take you off the business. As the businessman, you should be thinking about the who and not the what. But we'll dive deeper into this. So 2 extra points. One black hat technique you can use to really use loss aversion to your advantage is owning the infrastructure. And here's how it goes. Jeff Bezos says, add friction to anything you don't want to happen and remove friction from the things you want to happen. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to make it a pain in the ass to leave. We're going to make it hard for them to leave. We're going to make it difficult for them to leave. And just for an example, imagine you're helping someone grow their Skool group and charging a percentage of their MRR for that. If you're the one that owns the community from your own email, if you're the one that is controlling the Skool group, you have it set up on your email. If you're the one controlling the cash flow, every single cent that is coming into the business, you're the person basically owning the infrastructure. And for a person to leave you after that, it's basically next to impossible, because now they would have to create a new Skool group and they'd have to like get a new Stripe setup, a payment method. So it's really adding a lot of friction between someone canceling their partnership with you. So this would make them think 100 times before they even think about like canceling the partnership or something like that. So another example is that you're owning a video editing community and people really want like video editing assets, like the overlays, the backgrounds, the sounds and everything. So you have a 100 GB file, which is a huge file. No one will be able to download it at once, or like only a few people would do that. But a huge file with all the sound effects, all the overlays that you give them as a bonus, but it's hosted on your Google Drive. So you're not going to share it with them forever. You're only going to share it with them till they are in the group. So now if they want to leave the group, or they're even thinking about leaving the group, they'd have to give up this huge thing, like 100 gigs of really important stuff that could help them become better editors just like this. But now if they want to leave, they'd either have to download the entire thing, 100 gigs. They'd have to first download it. Then they have to have the storage to basically save it somewhere. And that's just a lot of pain and a lot of friction that you're adding. And that will basically help them not even think about leaving the group in the first place. So you could really think about things, brainstorm things that you can do to add more friction. And the action items for this would be to brainstorm ways you can own the infrastructure. So really own every single thing that people need to get results. Ideally, you would control 100% of everything, but that's not going to be the case. But the closer you are to that goal, the better. And once you've brainstormed them, like just implement some of them and see how it affects your churn. I'm pretty sure like if you use loss aversion properly, it's going to be insane. Then we have the final point, 43, hiring a star to be in charge of retention management. Well, the top businessmen know how to ask the best questions. They ask who, not how. And then when they find the who, they figure out the what. Does that make sense? I'll repeat it. They ask who, not how, which means that who do I need to find to get this task done, to get this system in place, and not how do I need to do it. Because when they think how, it's going to take their time, it's going to take their investment. But when they're thinking who, they could find someone that's already an expert at that, and they could just place them in, and now they already know more than the person that's running the business. And that person that they've found, they figure out the what for everything that they need to do. Just a small example to further explain this is, imagine you're trying to get a video edited. You would, inside your head, either you could start thinking, oh, how do I do this? I have to learn Adobe Premiere Pro, Final Cut, After Effects and everything. Or you could think about who could I hire that would help me do this really well? Someone that already knows this much better than I do. Who could I hire that could get this job done? And that's how you save a lot of time. And that's how really the top businessmen in the entire world think. They're not thinking how, they think who can I hire? So you need to do the same basically if you're at a level where you can afford it, or if you're like starting out and you don't need the money at all. You can like afford to do this, and this is like a longer term play, but you end up making much more money. So basically find the people that are already into Skool, that are already into the stuff like me, like if you could find someone like me, that would be amazing for your business. And then you could just like do the actions here, which is like finding a star and hiring them to be in charge of your retention management. Now you have a person that's working full time that has the knowledge, and you could give them a percentage of your sales that month, or like a percentage on how much retention they decrease, and you could basically have them as a co-owner on your Skool group. So now you're no longer a one-man show, which is a really hard to run, if I'm being honest. And yeah, you have someone completely dedicated just to reduce retention. So, sorry, not reduce retention, reduce churn. So now we've covered everything you need to know about churn. We've covered the churn basics so you understand the foundations. We've covered pre-sale, what you need to do before you even make the sale, what you need to do the first 7 days, time to first value, calls, community, education. We've covered how you can give them direct monetary value. We've covered how you can give them accountability. We've also covered how you can make money from churn, and also 2 extra tips that's going to put everything on steroids, like the co-founder of Skool.com. But we still have some ending thoughts that we need to go over, and without this, like all of this, it's not worth as much. This is really important for you to understand. Members are drawn to values and outcomes and not just features. It's crucial to understand their currency, what truly motivates them, and focus on delivering that. Remember the points we talked about, the 3 activation points your customer needs to have? You need to focus really on that and not on nothing else. Remember, members are buying solutions to their problems and a clear path to their goals. Without a structured frameworks and guiding principles for success, it's difficult to keep them focused. And like, again, going back to the point, don't just do a dump of everything you know. To retain members long term, stay attuned to their evolving needs. Either you or your community manager, which is like a point we covered in Ninja Shit, your community manager should actively listen and observe the shifts in the community's dynamics. One big thing is that you don't need to obsess on preventing every single member's departure. Some people are better off without your community, and you are better off without them, as this can lead to overreacting, pandering, and diminishing your group's profitability. It's also like gets really toxic once you're like giving them free things and, oh, just stay, like I'll give you everything for free and I'll give you this and that. Like, some people, it's better if they leave. You don't have to like focus too much on just keeping every single person you can. Constantly adding benefits or catering to demands can harm the group's overall health and make it stagnant, like I mentioned. Some levels of turnover can be beneficial. Too often, the advice on retention comes from so-called experts who emphasize maximizing retention without considering the strain it places on your time, resources, or group authority. This mindset is completely flawed. And this is really the thing I want to hone in on, and really the thing I want you to understand. All of this, you can implement this, but your churn is not the main thing you should be focused on. When members leave, do not take it personally, no matter how much time you've spent on them, how much you've supported them, how much you've helped them. Some will always be tempted by new opportunities or distractions. It's a natural part of a community life. So also be cautious about becoming too familiar with your members. They aren't paying for friendship. They expect strong leadership and authority from you, not excessive fraternization. And what I mean by that is that I have this really cool book, and I'm reading this right now. And one of the things people need for you to buy is authority. You can't be their friends all the time, right? You have to have authority. They have to look up to you. Like in terms of status rankings, you should be above them. And that's the only way you would keep them for life. And for that, you can't be their friend. It's like a work relationship. So really keep it corporate, keep it distant, and just avoid them knowing you too much. So if that was enough value for you, make sure you check out the link in the bio to join my retention community. I'll see you there.